This episode of the Young Turks is brought to you by GoToMeeting, online meetings made easy. Of all the things that were going on, all the different legislation that was being proposed, DREAM Act, Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal, etc., there was one that wasn't getting very much press attention. It was what they called a Zadroga bill. It was for 9/11 responders because they're having significant health care problems, and you know, a lot of them have cancer, heart ailments, etc., at a great higher proportion than the average population. It appears obvious that they got this from responding to 9/11 and doing the cleanup for months on end. And honestly, almost no one was paying any attention to it. The Democrats had brought it earlier, and the Republicans killed it with a filibuster at that time. Then Jon Stewart last Friday decided, you know what, or I should say at the end of last week on Thursday night, decided I'm going to do my last show just on this bill. I'm going to break format and talk about this, okay? And on Friday's show here, I said, well, it was amazing, and that he might get people to pay attention to it, and he had the 9/11 responders on the show, and it was moving, etc. And then over the weekend, something amazing happened. It worked. All of a sudden, other people started talking about the bill when it seemed dead. Then all of a sudden, senators started talking about the Christmas miracle and how it might come back. And then Republicans felt like they were on the defensive and had to explain why they had killed it in the first place, which is a great question, which I'd love to ask them. They have the answers for it here. I'm going to show it to you in a second. Okay, so what wound up happening? All of a sudden, Fox News picked up on it. And Fox News went on Stewart's side and said, yeah, what happened here? The first guy to do that at Fox News was Shep Smith. But he was critical because he pulled in other people like Chris Wallace. He was outraged about it and said there's no excuse for it. I want to show you the first clip here with him, but Chris Wallace is also on with him, and then that's going to spread to other parts of Fox News. Let's watch.
How do they sleep at night after this vote on Ground Zero first responders from 9/11? Are they going to get that done? Or are we just going to leave these American heroes out there to twist in the wind?
Well, it's a good question, and it's a national shame, the idea that, you know, the people who were there were the first responders after 9/11 and have had health problems as a result, and the Congress, you know, you would think if you're going to take care of all of these other things and they were going to pass these earmarks and name buildings and post offices after people, that they'd take care of some authentic American heroes.
All right, then Chris Wallace asked John Kyle on his program, hey, how come you didn't do this? John Kyle goes, oh, well, it was the cost. I'll come back to that cost issue in a second. And then it spreads to all parts of Fox News. You got Dave Briggs on Fox and Friends, Peter Johnson Jr., Fox News legal analyst, and then about 3 or 4 different hosts on America's News headquarters and commentators all coming out and saying, what? Of course, 9/11, what are you talking about? Yeah, we should have passed this. So where did Shep get the idea from? Did he come up with it independently? No, he admits he didn't. Go to the next clip here and he'll give Jon Stewart credit.
We've covered this here, and we've done our best to cover it and let people know that they didn't pass it, and it's all political, because it is. But last night on Jon Stewart, it was Jon Stewart's last one of the week, and okay, we watch it, whatever. And he's just flat on absolutely right.
He says, look, I watched it on The Daily Show, and he's flat out right. Then Mike Huckabee is asked about it, and actually that Jon Stewart did, and he was part of the snowball effect that got this rolling. And Huckabee said, look, every Republican should vote for this bill. I wish the Republicans would say, we'll fight this battle. There ought to be 25, 35, 45 Republicans voting for it. And then Mitt Romney doesn't want to get outdone. And he goes, oh, well, his guy comes out and says, oh, yeah, I'm for it too. I don't know what these Republican senators are thinking about. Shep is not done yet. He comes back over the top. Look at how strong he comes. Final clip here from him.
Who's going to hold these people's feet to the fire when we're able to put a 52-story building down there so far at Ground Zero? We're able to pay for tax cuts for billionaires who don't need them, and it's not going to stimulate the economy. But we can't give health care to Ground Zero first responders who ran right into the fire, went down there to save people. Do people know what this city was like that day? People were walking over bridges. They were covered in ash. They were running for their lives. They were crying. Their family members were dead. And these people ran to Ground Zero to save people's lives. And we're not going to even give them medicine for the illnesses that they got down there. It's disgusting. It's a national disgrace. It's a shame. And everybody who voted against it should have to stand up and account for himself or herself. Is anybody going to hold them accountable?
Well, that's a good question. Well, when asked, they said to the Republican senators, why the hell did you do this? Well, John Thune first says, hey, look, we had to get the tax cuts first because the tax cuts ended on January 1st. That's a more important priority. Tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires was a higher priority according to Senator John Thune, Republican. Okay? When they asked Senator Ensign of Nevada, he said, oh, no, the problem was the money. John Kyle later on Fox News Channel said the same thing. It was the money, and we just didn't have the money. It wasn't offset. We needed to be able to pay for it. That, of course, turns out to be not true. So what had they put in to offset that $7.4 billion? How were they going to pay for it? They weren't going to increase taxes. They weren't going to borrow it from China. No, the offset was to close tax loopholes for foreign companies. And the Republicans voted no. So, in order for foreign companies to keep their tax loopholes, they said those 9/11 responders are not going to get their funding. We don't care how sick they are. I can't begin to tell you how despicable that is. So now the Democrats had to come up with a new offset since they couldn't get the Republicans to sign off on that. Again, I'm amazed they don't know anything about politics. They should destroy the Republicans on this. You even have Fox News Channel on your side. How much stronger do you need to be? Stand tall and say, no, we're closing the tax loopholes for foreign companies. We didn't stutter. But of course, the Democrats, because they want to get it passed, to be fair to them, are changing the offset so that it'll be on the grounds that, that it is a 2% fee on procurement contracts for certain countries. Fine, okay? I mean, look, I prefer the other one. I could live with this one. And now they're one vote away. The Republicans still not bought in. They're like, oh, I don't know. It's a fee on other countries. We don't like that. But Mark Kirk has flipped from Illinois. He says, yes, okay, I'm going to vote yes on this. Susan Collins is still deliberating and working with Senator Gillibrand on whether she can sign off on this deal. Harry Reid had already voted no for procedural grounds. He'll flip back if they have enough votes. That's just a procedural thing. And so they're one vote away. My guess is that they are taking way too much heat on this, and this will pass. And I'll tell you, if Jon Stewart hadn't done that show, I know politics. I follow it day in, day out. I know all the nitty-gritty. I know what was proposed. I know what was on the docket. That was not going to get brought back up. That was just going to die. But Jon Stewart single-handedly brought it back and changed it, and now it will pass. I mean, I cannot give the guy enough credit. I literally have never seen any commentator on TV have that kind of effect. Not even the Fox News guys. Okay, and certainly no progressive. Give them all the credit in the world. Look, it already has a great name, but if it didn't, of course it's in honor of one of the responders, but if it didn't, it should be called the Jon Stewart bill.